Okay, so stage 4 is actually the first stage we started out with. We were already on the range, so we just started here. Now this I guess simulates getting blinded with headlights. I'm shooting at white painted poppers. They're fairly large, so I'm able to see them in the dark, despite not having light. So I'm just using the night sights to pick them off. Basically, you have to shoot one, transition to the other side of the barricade, shoot the other, back and forth. There are 12 targets total. After you get the large ones, you'll see the small ones, which are hard to see in the dark, basically invisible. So I have to deploy my light. I'm using the Surefire Rogers technique, which is pretty much failing me because every time I take a shot, I drop the mag because I have an extended mag release and it's hitting the flashlight. So you'll see me fumbling with a bunch of mags here, and just about here I've had it. Load up that mag. I'm going to try out this FBI technique, which seems to work, so I continue, except for right here I kind of have some difficulty shooting one-handed. Never really trained like that before. Square up with 2, hit it, didn't go down, and come back to it. Take out these last few. So this stage is decently fun. First taste of night shooting. Now stage 1 was actually too dark, so I didn't bother putting the video up, but this is stage 2, so you start out in the squad car, buckled up, unbuckle, run to the table, and grab your loaded mag, load up, rack. 2 hits on each of the stationary targets, move it to the plate rack, engage the plate rack, I run my mag drive, reload, one more target, and then you sprint over to the third shooting box where you engage more steel targets that are stood up on an array. Maybe, I want to say 14 targets, I believe. I forget, but they're basically just squares, circles, bowling pins, and it looks very dark in the video, but there's actually some light spilling over from the spotlights of the squad car. So when you're on the stage, you can actually see these targets without needing to deploy a light, which actually would have been helpful. Nonetheless, you're still able to see them without it. So this is probably my favorite stage, and probably one of my better times. Really enjoyed this stage.
I see.
Now stage 3 was probably the most difficult for me. You start out shooting through 2 ports. They're basically little orange barrels, which explains the orange flash on the muzzle flash. Hit 2 stationary targets twice. I almost missed, so I had to come back and get it. Here's the second port, nice and quick. Again, I can see the silhouette of the white stationary, so I can hit them. Now these poppers I can see through this port, so I have to deploy the light. This one I didn't do too bad on in this portion, but as you'll see later on, after I get these poppers down, it gets very, very difficult. Basically, you see these barrels, there are 6 barrels, they're staggered, and to the right and the left behind the barrels are targets that you have to hit, and you can't hit them from one position, so you have to be moving around, and there are also 4 bowling pins on the berm, so you have to find a good position to engage all of them, as long as you're behind this yellow line. Now, this stage was restricted to handheld flashlights only. You can't use a weapon mounted light, not that I had one anyways, but it forces you to train with one hand on the one light and the other on your pistol or whatever you're shooting. And I had a lot of difficulty with this stage because, like you can see, I'm switching over from one technique to another because I've never trained with the light before, and just shows you that this is a skill that you should know. I mean, it's just extremely difficult. You can see I'm using the hairstyle here. You'll see me going back and forth between different styles just so I can find a way to get these targets knocked down. In addition to that, you can see the smoke from each shot, gets lit up by the beam of light. Kind of like if you had high beams in the fog, you can't see anything. So you have to wait for the smoke to clear before you can take a shot in case you miss. So now that was a malfunction. I had to drop the mag here. Anyways, pick up the light. Figured, hey, this is kind of cool. I can leave the light on the ground. Took me and started shooting at them with 2 hands. A lot easier to hit. I guess not so much, but a lot easier than one-handed for sure. Okay. These targets were so hard to see, especially they were painted black, so you had to use the light, otherwise you wouldn't be able to see anything. And they're really hard to track because they're so dark and they're just hidden all over the place. You can see here I'm using went from FBI to Harris, and your arm gets tired after shooting one-handed for so long without any training. Here we go again. This is probably the most difficult stage that I've come across, at least during this match. A lot of new things that I've encountered, and definitely a lot of new things to learn. Definitely more training on this portion of utilizing a offhand flashlight. Here we go, flashlight on the ground again. Mag's dry. I'm gonna go back to that mag that I dropped due to the malfunction, which did me no good because I ran this mag without. I think I hit one target, but that's about it. But overall, the match was great. I mean, it's a different experience, totally different from shooting in the daytime. So I had a lot of fun, and probably want to do it again soon.